In the recent times, we are all hearing about rising government spending and debt, particularly after the pandemic. Big countries like the US, UK, and Germany have all spent more money and are working on debt relief packages. But what about underdeveloped and developing nations? What about their debt problems? Well, we were also wondering about that, and we found this very interesting thing. Many of these countries have a common creditor, China. Over the last few decades, China has become the biggest lender of loans to many countries. Majority of these loans are under the Belt and Road Initiative project. This is a project that connects many countries from Asia, Africa, and Europe to China. According to the reports published by HBR, it is estimated that China has lent nearly $1.5 trillion to 150 countries in the form of direct credit and loans. This has made China the world's largest official creditor, putting behind international institutions like the World Bank, the IMF, and all OECD creditor governments combined. But the problem begins when no official data exists on these massive loans. China does not report on its international lending, and credit rating agencies focus on private creditors. You see, China's lending is state-sponsored and therefore off their radar screen. This raises concern. After the pandemic, countries that are under heavy Chinese loans experienced financial disturbance. That's why the terms and conditions of China's debt contracts have come under the light of suspicion. Many of these loans come with a lot of clauses. Like percent of the sovereign borrower needs to maintain a special bank account, usually with a bank acceptable to the lender, which effectively serves as security for debt repayment. This means that government revenues remain outside the borrowing country, and China can simply debit funds from the account without having to collect on bad debt through a judicial process. You see, offshore accounts are common in limited small case project financing, but in large projects, it is highly unusual. Also, many of these loans have clauses that allow the creditor to terminate the contract, and demand immediate repayment in case of significant law or policy changes in the beneficiary country. Clauses like these make the Chinese loans look very suspicious. Such clauses work as hidden debt and puts a lot of financial pressure on the receiver country. We have seen some examples of how bad loans can hurt the country's economy. Take the example of Sri Lanka, where China built the deepwater port of Hambantota. It was opened on November 18, 2010. The reason behind building this port was, Sri Lanka is situated along the key shipping route between the Malacca Straits and the Suez Canal, which links Asia and Europe. Around 36,000 ships, including 4,500 oil tankers, use the route yearly. However, the only major port in Sri Lanka, the Port of Colombo, was unable to provide facilities for port-related industries and services. Therefore, a new port was proposed near the city of Hambantota, which has a natural harbor and is located on the southern tip of Sri Lanka, close to international shipping routes. But this dream hasn't quite worked out as designed. Because building a completely new city and economy up from scratch in a remote area is very risky. Especially without an accompanying industrial zone or other local businesses to drive demand. Hambantota's deep sea port struggled to attract ships and cargo volumes as expected. In the end, the project left Colombo with a debt of more than $5 billion. And when Sri Lanka was unable to repay the loan, China took over 70% share of the port for 99 years for $1.12 billion. A similar case happened in Pakistan, where China is a major infrastructure building partner. A series of different projects are initiated under the CPEC, including roads, highways, railways, ports, and energy generation plants. China's ultimate role in Pakistan is to cut across the country to gain access to Pakistan's deepwater harbor at Gwadar. And Pakistan was hoping that this project will help their economy. But this is not as happening. CPEC projects are not creating many jobs as they should have, and some of the projects have been delayed constantly due to a lack of funding from China. These mega projects are contributing to countries' rising debt rather than the economy. Many of the think tanks from the US say, for China their role in Pakistan is militarily more important rather than economically. The Gwadar port in Pakistan is slowly becoming a part of the Chinese Navy to gain control of much of the Indian Ocean, and to counter its geopolitical rival India. But perhaps the largest investment China has made is in Africa. Many nations in Africa are in debt of Chinese loans. China's total loans to Africa from 2000 to 2018 have been approximately $148 billion, mostly in large-scale infrastructure projects. Africa naturally sees China as a good partner rather than other Western countries. This is because of their shared history of anti-colonial mindset. and it is easier to get a loan from China than from the IMF, World Bank or any other Western country. But again, rushing to get an easy loan doesn't necessarily mean it will be profitable. This rush to get money many times leads to negligence in the analysis of financial as well as social and environmental sustainability, which results in projects that are not very profitable and just add to the debt of the country. That's why at least 18 African countries have been renegotiating their debts, while 12 others are in talks with China for restricting an approximate $28 billion loan. Some experts believe that China's investment in Africa could be to gain their resources at cheap prices, and moreover to gain political advantage in the international organization like the UN. You see, massive infrastructure projects were supposed to create jobs in all these countries, but it is not happening as expected, and this is because most of the workers come directly from China. According to some news reports, this has been improved to some extent, but the overall percentage of involvement of local workers is still not up to the mark. So looking at the overall picture, it seems China is not just a money lender, it is more of a strategic money lender with some agendas. Now what do you think? Is China's debt trapping countries? Or they genuinely want to help these nations? Well, tell us in the comments below. And if you are new to this channel, please consider subscribing. Thank you.